No, it's morning still. What am I talking about? Ah, I'm making the day go faster. Um, so we have another day of programming here. I'm going to try to go until about noonish and see how far I can get. Let's see. Super base. So, okay, what I've been working on for the most of the last week, I was spending a lot of time doing the authentication stuff. I think I finally moved past that. Now I'm into the database manipulation tasks. So this is Next.js, just making calls out to the database. A lot of where I'm at right now is pretty, uh, it's starting to move along pretty good now. Do I have? I do not have. Let's see, I don't need, I don't know why these have their own window, but I guess I don't need them. Let's see, don't need this one. I don't think I actually have an item I want to put up. I didn't realize I don't have 3 windows. I don't know why that's showing me that, but okay. Let's open up my application. I got Dojo Help Desk. Okay, so I've been getting off track a lot. I keep seeing things that I want to do, make it more cool. Or a lot of the issues I've come across doing the NetNinja Masterclass, which, by the way, this guy is a great teacher. I love the way he does his classes. As you can see here, they are all bite-size bits: 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. But so you feel like you're making progress. Hey, we're done. We did that thing. Okay, yay, we did that thing. Now, a lot of them are single steps. It's a lot agile-like. So if you've ever worked with agile, you're going to see a similarity in the way it works. Because with agile, you take tiny bits. Now, these would be really tiny bits because you can get through this entire class can be done in a few days if you're already kind of fluent in some of the stuff. Maybe not in these particular item. This is, I don't know how many hours, if it even says how many hours total it is. I don't know. Somewhere you could probably find what the total hours is. I'm sure you could do some basic math, but ultimately I don't think it's more than maybe 20 hours tops, this whole thing. Yeah, probably maybe 20 hours tops. But keep in mind, he's going pretty quick. He zips through, kind of does it. If you want to if all you're doing is watching him, you're done in 20 hours tops. If you're actually doing the work like I'm trying to do, I'm actually going through, I'm coding everything he's coding, with the exception of like when he has some large chunks of like CSS, I'll just copy those in because he just copies them in from his code base, which is on GitHub. So I don't generally type that, but he does go over it. He'll put all the code in and then he steps through and you can kind of see what's going on. And sometimes you go back and figure it out. Now, one of the problems I ran into, so as a quick recap so far of things I've had to deal with, these sections start you off with just basic layouts, links, how pages work, how Next.js is functioning. So what Next.js kind of does is it uses your folder structure in your project for your navigation. So the names of your folders are the URLs. So if you have your app, which is the root, anything under your root is login, tickets, in like in my application's case, I'll have like tickets, create tickets. So you're going down to these paths. So it would be like, say I want to go to the create ticket. It would be down here. I'd have tickets, create. That'd be my root. If I go type in my application and I go localhost 3000, the first things I would write are tickets and create, and it would take me to create folder, to create form. Now, if I want to log in, same thing. Well, auth is not part of it, so I would just like /login, and it would take me to these pages. Now, if you want to create a link, you just create a link to login, because that's all it is at the root. So my dashboard here is the root of my application. So it doesn't have, if you just type dash, it's going to take you there, and that's going to be your default. That's only because I have my layout. So when you come in here at the root level, you have these guys, layout. And so I have root layout, which takes me to children, and these pull me in to my base sets of items. So yeah, so one of the things you get to as you're going down to through this stuff is you got your routes and layouts, kind of showing you how different things can be shown, how you can do nested layouts. These folders with parentheses say don't put these in your path. So I'm not going to dashboard / tickets. I'm just going to tickets. And if I want my root to be, it's going to be this. At the folder, you have page.jsx. This is how the Next.js works. Every folder has a page.jsx. It's kind of like the index file of your application if you were just doing a regular IIS application. Index is kind of like where you'll by default end up. So this is a JSX file, meaning it's specifically meant to be a JavaScript with UI elements, which is like all your HTML in here. Now, you wouldn't necessarily call it a JSX. Well, a page is always JSX, but like one of these other files doesn't have to be a JSX if you have no UI elements. You're not doing any HTML in there. All you're doing is code. And that's kind of where you end up with a lot of these API elements. Like this is just JavaScript. There's no HTML elements in this. So you're just doing the your code parts, you're building your components, that kind of thing. Now these are all components too. They don't all have, see that one's got an HTML element. I don't know that all these have, I mean even so, a lot of your returns, you know, they're going to be HTML elements where you're returning back some kind of a UI output. So that's why all these are JSX. If you have an element, you can do it without, you can do a JSX without a UI element, but it's kind of like just for cleanliness, you might not do that. I don't know. I think I actually see now this does not have a UI element. It's just action.js. It doesn't do anything it might do, you know, a redirect, whatever. It's going to do behind the scenes code manipulation, but you're not actually sending back any UI elements. So you only have the page.jsx. This has UI elements, but the action.js does not. So that's one scenario where you would use a JS. Now you can use, like I said, JSX without UI elements. I don't know. I don't know if it goes the other way. I don't think you would do UI elements in a JS. Maybe you could. I don't know. But just for the Next.js nomenclature and standardization, you would typically not do it that way. This way it makes it easier to identify, okay, this code is not going to have any UI elements. If you're trying to fix UI elements, probably not going to be in a JS, or at least it shouldn't be, as a natural flow of your coding. So anyway, there's my recap of kind of what we've been doing. The big thing that kind of held me up last week, I actually spent a lot of time, when I started doing this programming stream, I was working on the API portions. Now this is using Supabase as your database backend, so we created a database on Supabase, and then we started working with routes and APIs. I'm sorry, this is what I'm talking about, authentications. This had to be done wholly different. NetNinja is setting it up using SSR, or the Supabase helpers project files. Deprecated. Supabase decided at some point in the last few months to say, nope, that's no longer the standard, use this SSR package. And so I wanted to rewrite it to do it with the SSR package, because that's the current latest and greatest thing to go with. And doing that with Next.js and Java and React proved to be challenging, because there was no fixed. There was nobody out there having done that yet. It was too recent. And somebody's going to do it soon. And maybe I've done it. Since I've done it here, I could I'm thinking I'm going to encapsulate all that. Maybe I'll put it out there until somebody better than me comes along. But I am not an expert, so it's kind of hard to get, you know, there's other people who probably end up doing it better, but at least it'll be out there. API route handlers, this takes it as far as the kind of, what this concept is this is what's handling your data usually. It's basically an API inside your application. It's not an outside programming interface, but one inside. It's the interface that's talking to your database usually. So a lot of your database calls and database gets and posts are going to take place within the API route handlers. It kind of works the same way. You know, you're going to have your same path of items that you're going to go to, but generally it's not links that you're going to browse to, but these are paths that you're going to reference. So when you import those things into these areas, you can work with those objects. You can call your route.js, you know, sign in with password, sign up, all the different bits and parts you can do by calling those items from your other items. So oftentimes you come in directly. So it's like with the confirmation of the auth, I don't go to route.js. I come into auth.confirm to execute this stuff, which has no UI elements, but it is validating against the database. So there is a call to this API confirm path, but it's only because you're going to do confirmation. Tickets here is the same thing. This one's only fetching data. So if I was going to fetch data, I would make a call to my API element, API tickets, route.js, or API tickets. Route.js inside of a folder, much like page.js, JSX here, is the default. You don't want to put route and page in the same folder because then you get conflicts, because they're both considered default. So you don't reference those pages. You just get the data that back from them. So they're just going to execute right away. So if you have both of them, it gets confused, doesn't know what to do. And there you go. That's all I've worked on. Now we're on to the database stuff. And this should go pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and start.
Again, resize the logo. Then the titles of these tickets right here. So it's grabbing the correct ones. Now, if we click on one of these, for example, this thing right here, it's not going to show us the correct ticket, because currently in the details page, we're trying to fetch tickets from JSON server still. So if we go to tickets and, for example, see this one, my first ticket, it's not going to match up to what we see in the details page, because that says fix the footer links, please. And also this bottom one is an ID of 4. I don't think we have a ticket with an ID of 4 currently in JSON server, so we get this error page or 404 page instead. So in the next lesson, what I'd like to do is work on that details page and fetch a single record from Supabase. Okay then, so in this lesson, we're going to turn our attention to the ticket details page, and there's a few things we need to do in this page. First, we need to actually fetch the tickets from the correct place. Second, we need to update the metadata function to generate metadata using the ticket.
Sorry, I'm kind of fixing my screen a little bit here. I'm having just trying to rearrange things a little bit so I can see better what I've got going on. I think I've got better going here. Just trying to, so this way I can see both my chat and my stream and be able to. I am kind of keeping the NetNinja stuff off screen to a point because it's a pay thing and I don't want to, you know, don't want to share all of their stuff. I'm sharing my work in that I'm doing it, so you might hear some stuff, you might not. It's going to pause at my
using our create form, but at the minute the tickets that we're listing here aren't tickets that are coming from Supabase, they're still coming from JSON server. So what I'd like to do in this lesson is make it so that we're fetching the tickets from Supabase right here instead of JSON server. Now, I've already prepped a few tickets over here. You can see we've got 4 in total. So the one we made in the last lesson plus 3 more. So these are the things that we're going to be fetching. Okay, so currently we're fetching all of the tickets from inside the ticket list component directly. And we're going to continue to do that The only thing that's going to change is where we're fetching the data from. So at the minute we're fetching it from Jason's server, but we want to grab it from Superbase instead. And the reason we're doing it directly inside this component is because it's a server component. And we can just easily fetch data in a server component and inject it into the template before it even...
So currently the thing he's working on is just this. I think I already did this last week.
To go and get the data from a component like this.
He's
So when we have server components, always
doing get tickets. We're doing Superbase, getting the tickets from the database. It's pretty straightforward. So if I go here now and click tickets, I only have one, I think. This is my little generic one I created. This is coming from Superbase. That's what he's working on.
You can see my first ticket, fix the footer links, my computer isn't working, resize the logo, then the titles of these tickets right here.
Trying to see if he...
now that array of tickets data.
Now, I can add and save some tickets, which I probably should, just to give me some variety.
Okay, so on the tickets page, now we can see all the correct tickets.
So he created a number just for his own thing. I can go in here now. My tickets kind of work. I don't really have a... I need a link to the create page, but really I could go here, /create. And then I can go, let's create one. We'll go Active Minds Gamer. Fix web. Let's need to reverse engineer AMG website. And this will be a high priority because why not? Now, if this works, as it should, it didn't work. Hey, what happened? I thought I had that working. Well, not everything happens the way you like. Okay. I did have this working. I did it to work before. Let's see what's my problem here. Adding my ticket. Oh, I'm not logged in. Okay, so this is a page that should probably be protected by my login. It's not going to work if I'm not logged in. So I got to log in. Let's see. He did what was he doing? He did a thing where he was protecting. Okay, so he set up his code originally, so you couldn't go to any page without without protecting the pages. I tried to set it up so the dashboard could be gotten to, and ultimately I think I don't have it blocking my let's protect my routes. We gotta look at the route protection again. I want to see what he did.
Last lesson I showed you this error we got when we tried to go to the dashboard or tickets page or any other route in the dashboard route group when we're not logged in. And we got that error because we're trying to output the user email when there's no user logged in. So the user is null and has no email. So we could combat this by just conditionally outputting the email address if the user has a value.
It's more like I want to catch the error. I know I need to log in. It'll work, but...
The way to do this is just to protect all of the dashboard routes on the server before it tries to even render any of the page content or even get the user email. So we can check if we have a current user logged in the dashboard layout, which is a server component, remember. It runs on the server. And if we don't have a user, then we could redirect that user back to the login page. If we do, great, we do nothing, and we carry on as usual, and we output that current user's email in the navbar, which would work. So let's give this a whirl. Okay, so if we open up the dashboard layout over here, we already have access to this session, right? We have this data object. Now, we can detect if we have a valid session by saying if data.session. And if that's a truthy value, if we have a value for that, then we are logged in. If not, then we can redirect the user. So let's do that little check. We're going to say if, and then not data.session. So if that doesn't exist, then we want to redirect the user. Now, in other components in the past to do this, we've been saying router.push, right? But notice, That's when we've used the use router hook, and that can only be used in the browser if this is a client component because it's a
So I would think I would have
component.
gotten to the login page, to be
This is
honest.
a
It
server component, so
should have
we're not
fired
going
me
to use
back.
that use router hook. Instead, we're going to use a function called redirect, which we can call on the server.
Because I actually have
From
code here in my layout.
So this thing right here. So let me put that up here. And then what we'll do is down here use that function redirect. And all we need to do is pass in a path to which we want to redirect the user to. So it's going to be the login page. So now if a user tries to come to the dashboard or any page in the dashboard route group, because this is in the layout, don't forget, or any page in the dashboard, then if they're not logged in, we're doing that check on the server and we're going to redirect them to the login page. So it's never going to reach the browser, the dashboard page or the tickets page or anything like that, because we're saying no, we're guarding this now against people who are not logged in, and instead you can have the login page. So that's pretty much done. That's all we need.
So according to that, that should work. So let's see what happens. If I go back to my, let's go back to tickets. We'll just say tickets for now. I should not end up here, but see, I am ending up here. Should take me back to login. Let's click on the console here. And then, oh, let's just go back. See, I am getting here. I should, going to here, reading these things, I should be getting blocked. If I go to dashboard, which is the root, see, I'm not getting dumped at all. And I'm not even seeing my layout. Layout is not getting fired at all. Because I should be seeing logging for my... I'm just freely moving around. This isn't doing anything. This isn't even, this like layout page is not even firing, which is weird because dashboard is supposed to be my default, and it is. It's taking me to the default page, but somehow, some way, this is not even happening. Which I'm curious as to why. Why is layout not firing anything? Console.log layout page. Alright, well, let's try that again. There it is. Layout page is null. Okay. Maybe I just didn't save it. Let's go. Thing is, if it's null, so not data, should redirect me to login. That's the problem. Why is it not redirecting to login? Yeah, but if it says user is null. So what if I go .user? What if I do that? I would think it wouldn't work because it should error even in my attempt. Still loading something. It's doing something. We are logged in. What? Oh, we are not. I have not logged into anything. It says we are logged in. Why does it say that? That's a console.log, so I probably have it in a bad place. I don't know what's going on here because this is not my login page and I'm not fully loaded. Look, this is not supposed to be half loaded like this. So something I could be having, it looks like I have some other issues going on here. I have my page is just loading like a dog slow. Look what's it doing? It's like, no, look at, and now it's stuttering. What the heck? Do I have endless stuff going on? Something is blowing up. Throttling navigation to prevent the browser from hanging. Command line switch. Warning, maximum update depth exceeded. Oh, I wonder if I've got some kind of a... I wonder if I've got a problem of... Where's my login page? I wonder if my login page is not supposed to be smarter. I don't know if I put that in though. Goes so here we're supposed to not redirect back. Sign with password. Error. Not error. Export sync, sign up, headers. So when I get to the login page, if there's an error, maybe, oh, you know what? I think I might be missing a piece. I think I'm supposed to be adding in a get user check here and allow it to stay here. Just not do anything. And I think that's what I've got going on here. I think I've got a break on my, I think it's my login page here. So when I do a get user on this page, I should be allowing the user to stick around. And I think what it's doing is it's trying to back bump them, and it's my own fault. Okay, so if I go here, yikes. Let's go here. We gotta try to fix the API login. Let's see, login. See, Superbase. Thought he would be handling submit use state user. He does this a little differently, but ultimately I think what I want is to not kick him out. And that's part of the protecting routes, which is here. It's funny, he's only got one. Oh, because he's doing things different. See, this is why this is hard. It's not doing it the same way as mine, but because he had to, his setup is using, all right, so I have to figure out how to do this in my code versus his code, and that's probably why it's not the same. So I believe the issue is here that we got to do a get user. If here we have the error that's causing me that's sending me back to the login page, once we get here, I don't want to kick them out. I want them to stay here on the login page. So I think what we're going to do here is sign in with password. We have the page that brings them here. Constant error message, search parameters, error, console, error message, log if we have an error. And we are logged in. Where's that happening? Obviously we aren't logged in, so whatever that says is wrong. We are logged. Why does it say that? Off get user. So it says we have a data object here, even though it's currently showing as undefined. How do we have a data object? That's weird. We should not have a data object. If we have a data object, go here. But how is the data object set? So obviously this is not quite right. We apparently are getting something back for the data object. And it must be returning something in spite of the fact that it's nothing. So we have, let's see, console.log data. It's weird, but I don't know that. It sounds like data is coming back with a user object regardless. So it's almost like I have to go use data, no, if data dot user. See what that does. That might prevent that from happening. If we're logged in, we go here, auth.layout. If we get user, we can go back here, we're logged in. Ultimately, if we're not, then we just want to return and allow it to stay here, and preferably not be kicked out. Now we should not go back in there, hopefully. But then again, I'm new to this and I don't always know what I'm doing. If I type login, I should stay on the login page. Okay, I'm staying on the login page. That's good. However, if I go to, let's say, the tickets page, I get kicked to the login page. Okay, that's good. What about if I just go to the root page? Back to the login page. Okay, so we're blocked out. Okay, so that's good. We are now at a point where we are now logging in. We're not logged. We can't do anything. I have to log myself in. And we log in. Hopefully that gets me to a login page, which then allows me to go to tickets. Takes me here, /create. Now we can create a ticket, and now we try it again. This is way more than a ticket, by the way. Migrate. If you were actually using Agile, this is not a ticket. This is like migrate AMG website. Convert or reverse engineer AMG web for React Next.js. This would have to be broken down into like 1,000 other little tickets. So, hey, I've got another one. So I've got 2 tickets. Now I've got a high priority and a medium priority. It's not as much as they have, but he has like 4. I mean, I can add another one if I wanted to. But for now, this is good. So it'll give me something I can continue to work on. So we are fetching data from Supabase. This is coming straight from Supabase. And let's go fetch a single record.
Okay then, so in this lesson, we're going to turn our attention to the ticket details page. And there's a few things we need to do in this page. First, we need to actually fetch the tickets from the correct place. Second, we need to update the metadata function to generate metadata using the tickets we get from the database and not from the JSON file. And third, we need to actually delete the generate static params function, because if we continue to try and use that, it's going to cause errors, because the whole idea of this function was to statically build pages ahead of time, but now we've introduced authentication and we'll be using cookies. We can't really statically build these pages as we did before. And now each page we request is going to be rendered dynamically. So let's grab all of that and just delete it for now. Alright, cool. So next up, I want to sort out the metadata function, which we can keep, but we just need to change a little bit. Alright, so first off, let's delete this stuff right here. We don't...
Alright, so he's in page.jsx. He's got this generate metadata function, but he's going, this is kind of like getting it set up. We're going to fix that up, get it so we can do one item at a time. Really, it's going to function a lot the same. What we're going to do is we're still going to get our ID, we're still going to pass it in. It's just not going to be able to be statically maintained because we have auth that's going to go back to the database, check that we got our user logged in, and it's going to log. But you see we have like 4 different calls that are going back to 4,000. 4,000 is the JSX, or the JSON server, which we're no longer using.
Don't need any of that. And right here, we can keep this if we want to, or we can just add this directly, which I think we'll do. Let me delete that for now. What I'd like to do is say const superbase to get our superbase instance and set that equal to create server component client, because this is a server component. And when it's running on the server, we need to pass through those cookies, remember, which we also need to import. So let's do that. So we import.
Okay, so here I have to do same thing I did before. Create client, but we're going to do the server version. He's doing a little bit different again. He's using helpers, as you can see in his code. He actually creates this create server component client, which is part of the auth helpers. I don't know if you can see that, but the auth helpers is what's been deprecated. So every time he makes an auth call or makes a call to Superbase using this stuff, I have to kind of call it with my things, which by the way, in a lot of cases is going to be the same after you get past the authentication. It's a lot of the same stuff. That's not all deprecated, just this item. Just the auth stuff has been changed a lot. Not necessarily the case for everything.
Cookies from net/edits. Alright, so that's our Superbase instance. Next we need to use that to grab a particular ticket. So we say const data and we set that equal to await Superbase, and it's going to be the from method that we use to say we want to get something from the tickets table, and then we use the select method to select those tickets. Now this on its own would grab all of them. We want to select it based on a criteria, so to do that we can say .eq, which is saying select everything where a certain condition is equal. So for example, where the ID property of the particular record we want to grab is equal to params.id. So remember, we have params and we're grabbing the ID from that. So where these two IDs are equal, we're grabbing that document. And remember, we say .single to get that not in array format, but we just want a single document on its own. All right. So we have that now, and what I'd like to do is say, okay, well, when you get the data, I want you to return that and call it ticket within this scope right here. And the only reason I'm doing that is because we say ticket.title. So instead of data.title, it can remain as ticket.title. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is either have the...
This is the thing that kept throwing me off. I was always trying to figure out, well, is it this you're getting back and using this as the name? No. This is what you're getting back and you're doing this as the name. Which if you think about it is backwards for a variable set, right? You create the variable title, you set the variable. The secondary, the second part is the set, the source. These are kind of backwards, so it's taken my mind a little bit to understand that the data is the object you're getting back and the ticket is the variable. So if you put it in parens, you're basically creating an array of the values of the ticket. So if you were to like say ticket within parentheses, you would get back ticket. It's weird because what throws me off is sometimes he uses parens and sometimes he doesn't, the little squiggly things. Because here you got ticket.title. He took his data, turned it into a ticket, which is just renaming the data. But you can also parse it out. Like if my understanding is in places like, for example, if I go over to my layout page, no, actions maybe? Okay, actions. Okay, so here, where is it? I want to show you what I'm talking about. Because there's places where it gets parsed out into a multiple item object. And we have, so like here, data, all right? So data, now here data is being put into an array or into a squiggly user, but that user is still turned around, and now you can insert, where's he at? Ticket user data. See, it's odd because now here you're passing back data, which is data up here is user. Data up here is this user object, which is supposed to be, well, that's set up as the constant. So the constant is this user. Now you're coming back here with Superbase getting data back. But I'm like, does that mean this is my source now? So now this source is data. So now the variable is this user object. And Superbase is now loading it into the user object. But it's still data because the data is the variable being used. So it's confusing the way you have, in some places it's like the data is the source and the sometimes it's the variable. The first item is the variable, sometimes it's the source. So it's a little awkward to understand what's going on here sometimes. So we're loading up this get user is data user, and then I don't even know why I have a comma there because there's not anything in this. Probably, apparently doesn't mind, but you can do like air object because you can do an air object here too. And so we're loading it up, and I see it breaks it down. When I do the formatting, it's going in and putting comma in. For whatever reason, it thinks I need a comma there. I don't know why. But yeah, so this is why there's a little confusion here, and it's a little. This is just creating a constant though that has get user in it, but sometimes you're just using the data object, which is still the data object. I don't know if it's because, oh wait, Superbase, and this one's getting from tickets. Oh, by the way, my tickets, when I go back up here to ID, has to be capital, because there is no tickets lowercase in my database. So yeah, it's awkward. It doesn't always seem to make total sense on how this works, but I guess we'll just have to make do. I mean, have to learn how that works. Sometimes it's the variable, sometimes it's the object set.
This, if we have a value here, but if this is not a value, then I need to output something else. And that other thing is going to be not found. So I need to do pipe symbol right here, and then string to say ticket not found. Because think about this.
All right, so he's doing a test on this. So if tickets, basically he's validating the tickets. So he's doing the hash time ticket set title. If there is no value there, he wants it to, you know, pipe back. Oops. And he's just going to say ticket not found. So again, it's kind of a, what do you call it, a short circuit. If we have a ticket, great, let's put this down. If we don't have a ticket, then we're going to write down ticket not found.
If we try to go to a page where that ticket doesn't exist, then we're going to try and grab that ticket and then output the title of a ticket, which is essentially null, and that wouldn't work. So what we're saying is, look, if we have a ticket title, then great. If we don't, then it's going to say ticket not found, okay? So just a quick edit here. I just want to add a question mark after ticket because it might be that we don't have a value for ticket. in which case I don't want to try and get the title, because if we try to get a title,
Just going to allow a
null,
null.
then that's going to cause an
Putting
error.
the
So
question mark
just put
in to allow this to be
question
null.
mark after ticket. That means it might not have a value. Alright, so now we have the title. This is pretty much done. Now we can move on to the get ticket function to actually get the ticket, and a lot of this is the same. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of this right here.
So he's again going to just basically replace all this stuff. One of the things I think you can get rid of too is this generate static parms. I don't believe that's actually, I think he took that out as well. It's no longer a valid thing here. So as we move, we're way up here on 34 now. If I go to my page under ID, dashboard, tickets, ID, page. We only have generate metadata and get data. There is no longer a generate static parms piece. So we are just doing get ticket at this point. This generate static parms is a functionality of running it not with a database. You can create static data, and we're not doing that because we have to do an auth call and we have to go back to the database to get stuff. And if we created something static, our data would never be fresh.
Then I'm going to just grab all of this, copy it, and paste it here.
He's doing the same basic thing, so he's just going to copy what we did in here. Generate metadata. Actually, you know what? I think this has to be this guy. Because, yeah, that's what that has to be. So he's going to go in here, and he's just copying it down to actually this piece. Now we're going to put in our get ticket.
Because we're essentially doing the same thing. We want to grab the ticket. This time I don't need to return it as a ticket, but we have the data. Now if the response is not okay, we're currently using this not found function right here to show the 404 page. However, this time we say if not data, because that's what we're getting back here, the data. And then finally we return the data. So if it can't find the ticket, we're going to show that not found page. If we can find the ticket, then we're just going to carry on and inject that into this component. Alright, cool. So I think...
So what he's returning, all he's doing is returning back the object that's being created. I am starting to have an issue with the data. I'm noticing that data is not the object. It's like data comes back sometimes with an object. If it's like the user, it comes back with an object with a value user dot user, which is null. So you almost have to refer to the user, not the object. So sometimes the way it sets up, it still comes back with a value. It's just a null value. So in theory, I think he's about ready to test this.
Oh no, one more thing. So we're still using params.id here, but of course in this function we don't have params. We just have the ID as an argument. So let me get rid of that. And we have that, remember, because we pass it in right here as params.id when we call the function. Okay, so let's save that, cross our fingers, hope this works, and let's give this a whirl. Okay, so let's try clicking on one of these tips.
Alright, so he's basically ready to test it. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's see what happens. Let's see if I am any more successful than he is. He's usually pretty successful. So, alright, click. Let's see where I go. It's trying. It's thinking about it. We hit a brick wall. Well, go back to all tickets. Okay, I hit an error. Let's see what I did. I changed the error. His is like something else. Blah, blah, blah. Couldn't find a ticket or whatever. So here's the problem, or here's the question. What's the problem? What did it do? What did it not do? Again, I'm trying to do things a little different from him. I did do a get tickets over here. Maybe I did it slightly different here. Let's go check the ticket list. Create client, which I did. Let's split this. Let's side process. There we go. Okay, so then we're going to go to my ID page. Okay, let's see how I did this differently. I do get data await super base from tickets select. Now, this is doing a select based on his params.id, so we should be okay there. The only difference is I did not put the air object in my super base. I don't know that that should matter. I don't think I'm required to get it back. But I do have super base client. We are getting my util super base server, so we're okay with the bit parts. So the question is, do I really need the air object? And what is different? What is going on? Gotta sit up. I'm slouching too much. There we go. Let my back. All right, so we're gonna try to sit this a little bit better up. Okay. And what is the problem? All right, well, let's console.log. See, data got an object back there. You see all this? This is the data object. We are logged in. So I don't know where else everything is, but something did not load up, so we'll have to just Control S. All right, so right now we haven't done anything. Let's click here. All right, so we have a blow up. Data is not defined. So yeah, so we are not getting that item back from tickets. Our tickets object is not getting a thing. Await superbase dot from tickets dot select dot eq dot single. So what are we doing wrong? Well, the only difference is I don't have an error object here. I don't think that should matter, but we'll put it in and try it anyway. I don't think that's going to matter. It's not defined. I could be wrong. I don't know. Usually you don't need it. Create client. I don't see any reason why this is failing, but it doesn't like that my data object being, it's coming back empty. So why? Super base tickets dot select dot param ID params ID. Let's put in my params ID. Let's see what that's. I don't know what that matters, but I should be able to go look at my database and tell what it is, right? So we'll go console.log and params.id. There. So what this will do is give me the ID I need to go look at my database and see what's going on. See, we still have this error, but data is not defined. Console.log data. Why is data not defined? It's like it's not finding a ticket. Did I put down data reference data is not defined? Question is it maybe get ticket that's broken? Dot superbase. Oh wait, what? Oh wait, feel like I'm missing a step here. Superbase.from. Nope, superbase.from. Nope, that's perfectly fine. From tickets, select, ed, ID, single. But this is coming back from page.jsx ID. So we are in the right page here. It's not ticket list. And it's not, is it console.log data? I don't have a console.log on here. So the problem is in here. We are not getting a data object. Why? Why? Dot from tickets dot select. Create client. Does it not like that I defined my... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. Let's put ticket here. Let's start with that problem. So I have a param ID of 2 and my ticket is null. So it thinks it's 2. Let's go look at my database and go look at my table. Tickets. There is a 2, but it didn't like it. Why did I not get back at tickets? Why did I not get tickets? What is ED? EQED. I don't know what ED is supposed to be. Why EQED? Get ticket. ID. Oh, Ken. Schmack. What are you doing? I don't know what ED is. It's because ED is not a thing. So I'm too busy copying what he's saying and not paying attention to what his intent is. It's not what he typed. He typed ID. But, you know, I'm typing along and I'm just thinking I'm typing what his stuff is. And then I come back 20 minutes later and I'm like, what is ED? Is that like some special code? No. Holy moly, folks. Sometimes you gotta I don't know what to say, man. I just don't know what to say. Let's see what that does. Holy moly, I tell you. Okay. Now what? Let's go back. Let's go back here. Let's go back to the tickets and try to make the call again. Okay, we still failed. But hopefully we're getting somewhere now. At least I put in the right value. At least that's no longer going to be trying to find id. So ID equals 2. We still have a... No, let's go all the way down here. So ID equals 2. We have objects here. These completely loaded up correctly now. We don't have any errors. We got ID. We got the objects I wanted to lay out. So yeah, we've got a full set of whatever. So what we didn't do is load correctly. It didn't like something in my load. It's probably get ticket. Probably because I did the same thing. I'm copying my stupid ed. Sheesh. Is it thinking about it? So I gotta go back. Tickets. Click on it again. There it is. Well, I mean, it is there. It's pretty ugly. Tickets, priority. It just says priority there. I don't think it's supposed to just say priority there. Something's weird, but I think that could just be I probably have something messed up down here. Because don't think that's supposed to be... Ticket details is what this is. So... params, return data. Is it return data or is it return ticket? Nope, return data. And then, so let's go see. I probably just have it titled wrong. It's probably a pretty easy fix. I'm guessing I just have the wrong object or something. So we're going to go back to page ID. I'm going to go down here, look at the bottom. Params ID, ticket details, right here. And then we got ticket.title, ticket.user.email, or user_email, body, priority, and priority. So he's params, get ticket, const ticket await, get ticket, params.id. So we're returning the data back, but what we aren't getting is all this other information. Is that because I did not pull all the other information? No, should be in there.
Our params, we just have the ID as an argument. So let me get rid of that. And we have that, remember, because we pass it in right here as params.id when we call the function. Okay, so let's save that, cross our fingers, hope this works, and let's give this
I gotta say this, when he crosses his fingers
so let's try
and hopes it works.
Yep, that works. Let's try another one. Yep, or
So his are loading up okay, mine are not loading up right for some reason. So I gotta figure out why they're not loading up right. I mean, I'm getting the data, but as you can see, all I got was created by and the priority. Created by works, priority is wrong. So Mike, oh, you know, I wonder if I, class name, pill. I wonder if I'm spelling it wrong. I wonder if I got, I did have some capitals in my stuff, and that's probably what's going on. Bet you it's case sensitivity. See, all of my field names are capitals. Title, body, priority. User email, for some reason, I did not capitalize, and that's why that works. So I gotta go back and make my stuff. Oh, look, I have the capitals here. That's why those worked. This is one of the problems with just going to copy it. Priority and title even has to be. I'm not a fan of case sensitivity. I'll tell you, I've never been a big fan of it. I think it's kind of silly because I don't think you should be. Why on earth would you have a uppercase title and a lowercase title in your table? That would just be dumb. So why would you need case sensitivity? Here you go. Reverse engineer AMG website, high priority. We're done. We got it. We got it, man. We should be able to click on my other nonsense one, which is just going to show it up here. Nonsense for medium. And we're back. All right, so we got our 2 items loading. He's got his 2 items loading, and we're on to 35.
awesome. Let's try a final one at the bottom. Yep, cool. So now everything is working. Awesome.
So now we're on to checking the ticket author. Don't know what that's all about, but I mean, the author is whoever created it, right? So when I click on here, this is the created by the author, so I don't know.
Okay then guys, so now what I'd like to do is allow users to delete tickets, but not just any ticket. I only want users to be able to delete their own tickets. Now there's a couple of steps to achieve.
So he's going to put in a condition where you can delete tickets, but only if you created them. So it's a little trickier here. So I don't know how he's going to do this, because when you create them, it puts your user ID in the database. So you have to have like multiple logins. So I'm going to log out here to create a second login. And we're going to go, oh, yeah. And we'll do a sign up because I think I don't have both guys created yet. It goes away. Thank you for registering. So we go back to, I gotta validate my email. So we're gonna go here, open up my Outlook. And we'll go down here and go to my inbox. And then we're just gonna wait. There's my confirm my sign up, which I know for a fact doesn't work. So I have to copy it over there and put it in here and hit enter. Because the Outlook does something weird when it does its email. Okay, so I have two, but now we're gonna go to view tickets. I'm gonna create another ticket. I need a create button though. I probably should create one. I should create a create button. And we're gonna go, what do I want to do? Let's say finish NetNinja class. Let's say Next.js class. Who knows? I might do another class. Body. Get through the 30s at least. And we'll call it high priority. Got to do it, man. So now I have 3, and I should not be able to, once we're done with this, be able to delete this one. I'm going to create a nonsense one since I've created 2, and I don't want to delete the 2 that have words. Let's delete the ones that are actually no words. You know, nonsensical. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, I said blah, blah, blah. I can't spell those, but we'll call those low. It's a low priority one though. All right, so we will delete that as my test subject. Now I should not be able to delete these once we're done. So that's going to be based on the auth and checking the author, and that's kind of what we're doing.
Achieving this, the first is to make it so the UI only displays a delete button on the details page when the current logged in user matches the user who made the ticket. The second is to lock down the data with the rules or policies in Supabase so that only record authors, if you like, can delete their own records. So we'll sort out the database policies later on Supabase, but in this lesson I just want to focus on conditionally outputting a delete button on the details page for users who made that ticket.
So as you can say, as you hear or possibly hear, he's actually planning what we're going to be doing is adding a delete button only to the items owned by this user, by me, this current login. And then as we do that, we will go to, so it's kind of like a double protection. We're only going to have a delete button on those things that I can delete, but Supabase is going to also, we're going to go through how to update Supabase to not allow a person to delete from other buttons. So if we put a delete button on all of them, Supabase would say, nope, you can't delete this one because it's not yours. It'll only allow you to delete your own.
I'm going to make this delete button its own component for 2 reasons. First, it makes the component more reusable just in case we want to use it elsewhere in the future. And second, because it needs to be a client component and the details page is a server component. So if I made it directly inside this component, we'd have to change this whole page component to a client's component. But by giving it its own file, only that component needs to be a client one, and then it can be nested inside the details page. So let's make that delete button component then inside this ID folder, and then I can boilerplate this component by just typing RFC and hitting tab. And then also remember, we need to type use client at the top of the page to say that this is a client's component. So then, to make this button, we're going to use a package called React Icons as well. So let's install that first of all down in the terminal by typing npm install React Icons and then hitting enter. Alright, so that's installed now.
Doing that, huh? npm install React. What was it? I didn't see what he said. We're installing something apparently.
Terminal by typing npm install React icons and then hitting enter. Alright, so that's installed now. Let's go ahead and make
I don't know what
component.
React icons are,
Just one
but
thing, on the course files on GitHub, I've actually named this component delete icon accidentally, but it does the same thing. It doesn't really matter the name. This one's called delete button. Okay, so the first thing I would like to do then is just import a couple of things. So we're going to import use state from React because we're going to use some state in this. So from React, like so. And then also I want to import an icon from React icons. So import, and it's called ti delete. It's a little delete icon basically. From React-icons /ti. Okay. So now we have those two things imported. Let's now come down here. We're going to create some state. So I will say
this apparently is
the
a
reason I need
delete
state is because I
icon
want
thingy
a
lobber.
loading state
Probably
to
a
show on
garbage
button.
can.
So we'll say is loading, and also set is loading, and we'll set that equal to be false to begin with. So use state, and then false for the initial value. Okay, so now down here we'll do our template, and it's just going to be a button with a class of btn-primary, like so. And actually I'm going to put the different attributes or props on a fresh line each time because there's going to be a few of them. So first of all we'll have a click event, so on click is equal to some kind of function. That function will be called handle click. Now we'll make that up here, const handle click.
Oh,
is
I
equal
can
to
do this.
function, and it's going to be an asynchronous
Button
function
dot.
because we'll be making an asynchronous request inside
I'm getting behind.
them.
Button dot btn dash primary, and does that. It's kind of a cool little thing. It's part of one of the little odd insets. If you just name the object dot and then it'll do automatic class name. I think it might be a Tailwind thing you're just allowed to do. But he did put this object down here because he's doing more with it.
So first of all we'll have a click event, so on click is equal to some kind of function. That function will be called handle click. Now we'll make that up here, const handle click is equal to a function, and it's going to be an asynchronous function because we'll be making an asynchronous request inside there at some point. So let us do this right now, and what we'll do is set is loading to be true when we click on that button because that's the point where we're going to try doing something. So we'll say set is loading, and that's going to be equal to true now. Alright, so now we're firing that function. Down here we're going to say that the disabled attribute is going to be equal to is loading. So if we're currently loading something, it's going to be true, and therefore at that point the button is disabled, so they can't spam
Nope,
click it.
fail.
Alright then, so
I'm
inside
trying to
here,
figure out. I'm trying to learn to type
one of two things.
the
Either a message that says
squiggly
delete
things, but I
dot,
keep
if
missing
this
them.
is true, so if something's going on in the background, if we're trying to
there you go.
delete it, or if this is false, then we're going to say delete ticket. So let's do some conditional template here. Say is loading, and then double ampersand, and then return some kind of template. We'll do a fragment, and then inside that fragment we're going to output the icon ti delete, like so. That's the icon we had.
I always think this is weird too. I don't know why this
And
exists.
then also we will say deleting. So that's when is loading is true. Now we'll do another one, and we'll say not is loading. So when is loading is false, we want to return a different template. Again a fragment, and then inside here we'll copy this. We'll still keep the icon, and underneath that we will say delete ticket.
Oops, what is it? That didn't do what I wanted it to.
So initially it's going to be this that shows, and when we click it and this becomes true, then it's going to be this that shows. Okay?
Alright, so I'm just kind of trying to catch up here, but ultimately he's doing this, getting TI delete, getting the icon on there, then it's going to say deleting underneath it. Then he's putting that, and underneath we're going to go to, if it's not is loading, we're just going the reverse direction. So not is loading, ampersand, And we're going to go ahead and do our usual thing. Same old nonsense he just did a second ago, which to me is still weird. I don't understand this. This is such a weird little extra bracket thing. I don't know why that has to even exist, but it's a thing apparently. And then we'll just say delete ticket. And that's kind of it. Oh, I gotta close. Oh, no, that's it. What am I missing? Well, this needs to go away for one. That's not. Oh, no, wait. Does it have to go away? No. That's all part of the button class. So we're going to go in here, button this, do all this. Close, close, close. I think ultimately I need to just close the button. This needs to go away though. And now we should be okay. Maybe. Or not. I have something syntactically broken. Because it's not formatting. Usually if something's not working, formatting, it's because something's not correctly lined up.
Now then, we're going to pass into this component the ID of the ticket we want to delete as a prop. And we can do that because if we go to the page, this is a details page and we have access to the ID right here for that ticket. So we're going to pass it in as a prop. Now, what I'm going to do down here is just log to the console a message. So we'll say deleting ID and then a comma and then we'll put the ID right there, okay, and a dash, like so. Alright, so now what I'd like to do is nest this component inside this details page, and we only want to show this if the user who's logged in kind of owns that ticket, right? So we need to make sure that first of all they're logged in, and then we need to find their email address, and then we need to see if that email address matches the user email property on the ticket we're trying to delete, because if it does, then we show it at delete button. If it doesn't, then we don't show it. Does that make sense? So what we'll do is inside this ticket details component, we will say const superbase and set that equal to create server component client, because this is a server component. And then we need to pass through the cookies, remember, because we're on the server, we don't automatically get access to them.
It's kind of funny when you're watching somebody who's already got it all laid out and they have all their stuff going and they know what they're doing and they're bouncing back and forth on stuff and they're saying type this, but then we're going to go do this, and then it's like, wait a minute, I was still trying to see what you were typing. And the thing is, he's got a lot of what do you call it, IntelliSense going. So when he types, it covers up what he's typing. So sometimes you have to wait to see what he's typing. But by the time you do that, he's moved on to another thing, or he's scrolled up to the top of the page or the bottom of the page, and your eyes are going trying to track down what he's doing. And so he keeps leaving the page you're on, and that's why sometimes I'll just go over here and say, screw it, I'm going to copy it from your code because you're impossible to keep up with. I just got to know what page he's on, and I'll go over here and look at what he's doing. So it is kind of a distracting thing when you're trying to follow a person doing his thing. So when he gets all down, let's go page. I'm trying to figure out where he's at again.
And then after this, we shall, oh, it's down here. We shall.
So he's going to ticket details, which is over here. And then he goes on to ticket details. And he is putting stuff in here, actually. So he's actually going to be reading up const superbase equals create client, and I believe how come I only have one? Nope. How come I only have one? Oh, probably because I already have the other one in. It's already referenced. And I don't need to do another one because it's already referenced on the right version. See, he's using cookies. I don't think we need to do cookies. Obviously, you've seen I've kind of not done cookies a couple of times. So the cookies must be something to do with the helpers, because I've been able to not do cookies and reference stuff just the same as he is. But it also might be that my cookies are actually built into my middleware. So
I'll say const data is equal to await superbase dot auth dot get session, because we're trying to get the current user here, right? And we need their user email. So we get the session,
stop it.
and now we have that session right here. Okay, so now we can use that.
Let's see, I don't know why I ended up on another page. Probably because I typed totally in the wrong spot. Const superbase. My fingers must have been totally off target because this is supposed to say const. And that I tried, apparently I tried to type the squiggly and missed, or I clicked the wrong one. The squigglies are going to be the death of me. Of my, okay, so delete. Okay, await superbase dot auth. He's doing get session. I don't think it's get session. I think it's just dot get user. Get user. Oh, stop it. I don't want that sometimes. It does it anyway. Gut the user. Get user. We don't want to gut the user. Okay. Let's see what he says. Let's see what it says.
Down in the template to conditionally output the button to the user. So let's do that here. I'm going to do
So he's going to go to ticket details here, and he's going to put in his conditional.
a div. I'm going to do a div with a class of ml-also, and that means that this is going to be on the left, this will be on the right, and then inside here we'll say data.session.user.email is triple equal to ticket.user_email. Does that make sense? So we're checking a
So he's basically just going to check it to make sure everything matches the user. So we got data.user.user_email. And then we're going to go equals ticket.user_email. So really what we're doing is we're getting my ticket object that we've got already from this, and then we're going to have my data object, my user object, and see if those match. Will that work? He says so. Also, the reason I questioned it more so is that my code is different from his code, because again, he's using get session, he's using cookies, he's using a lot of references that use the helpers package from Superbase, and I'm using the SSR package, and I'm also using a middleware tier that's taking care of a lot of my get user create client stuff. So I am using create client here, but create client is actually one object that has a client version and a server version that does what it needs to on the middleware. So my middleware over here is actually, if I say server, is doing the server get create client, and if it's a client, it's doing the client get client get server. So when I'm here and I have my object up here, I'm doing server, but this is server side, right? So I'm doing get server. If I'm doing a use client and I wanted to create client, which I'm not doing here, I would be doing it with the server create client. Now we're going to see if my object is actually pulling back any data. So we have ticket.userEmail, which is what's passed back from the object, and then this is my user.getEmail, which is the one that's going to test against it. And we're not going to show the date item unless everything's happy.
condition. So we have the session, and we're checking the email address of the user who's logged in. If that's equal to the ticket that we have, because we get the ticket right here, and if it's equal to their user email,
I think I must be loading something differently, because he got user.email, and I think it might actually be email. So if I go back to my previous node here, I have a lot of examples. So it is email. I have it set up as email. So it's this guy. So it's user.email. You can see that these are the objects that are coming off of my user data. I don't know if email is like a default for the object, but that's what it is.
Then we're going to show this button. So we'll say double ampersand right here, and then return some kind of template. And that's just going to be the delete button component we just made. Make sure that imports at the top. We're going to do a little comment right here to say components. Alright, so down here, delete button.
So we got to do this guy, and we will type delete button, and we will make it import. As a matter of practice, he actually likes to separate components from your package imports, so I don't think that's so bad. It's not a bad way to sort things out.
Remember, we need to pass through the ID as a prop. So ID is equal to the ID that we have. Or rather, it should be ticket.id, shouldn't it? Because we have the ticket right here. Okay, so that should be it. Now
okay, I'm missing my buttons and blowing up. So ID equals, and then we do another little squiggly, and it's ticket.id. This is what happens when I try to type. I try to type the squigglies without looking, because that's when my brain breaks, or my fingers cease to type correctly. And then we got to close my button. All right. Okay, so in theory we should be just about at the end of that and be able to test this.
And we're only outputting that delete button if the user created that ticket. So let me save this now, and now let's give this a whirl. Alright, so I'm just on the tickets table, and if we take a look at this, we can see that currently the user email is all yoshi@netninja.dev, so we would see the button in all cases. So what I'm going to do is insert a row.
So he's just going to go insert data, which I theoretically have already done. So let's make sure I have all my stuff saved. I can fix my code. Failed to compile. What did I do wrong? Probably something. All right, so probably something. Set is loading true, so it's obviously my async thing here. I think I'm missing the value that was supposed to be put in there. Get tickets, delete button. Import delete icon from .delete icon. I got that. I should probably close all other pages. All right. Okay. Let's see what I've got messing up here. So, is there something with my delete button? Delete button's got some weird stuff going on here. So let's go see what the delete button thing is doing. So we got tie delete, we got delete button, ID. He actually separates that too, icons and UI. Use state, false, async. Oh, I think I have too many parens because I obviously typed a paren when it didn't want me to. All right. And this is click, not click. I mean, I guess the spells say the same, but. All right, so we got handle click. Let's try that again. Something's still weird here, huh? Because that should be the same color, but I think that's also just a weirdness of this icon coloring. It doesn't know what to do with that. It does. See, it struggles. See how this one is? It's generic colored and yellow, and generic colored and red. So, you know, there's some weirdness going on there. Doesn't handle those particular items very well. Okay, so I don't have any delete icons. Obviously, still not working because I do have. Unless I have to click here. Kenneth R. Active Minds game. So yeah, there's no. Oh, there's a delete ticket. Oh, I do have it. So it only shows up. It doesn't show up on this page, but it does show up. Let's see. Let's make sure it shows up on these other pages. Nope. There you go. Look, it doesn't there. So I don't own this one because Kenneth I created it. But since I do own these ones, because Kenneth R created it, and that's who's logged in, Kenneth R. So it did check, it validated, gave me tickets in the right place, and apparently I have to be on that ticket page to delete it. So now it's just a question of what it's going to do when we delete it. So all he's doing on his is going in and adding a ticket.
Automatically generate that. And for the title, we'll just do this is a test ticket.
So he's going into the database and adding. I don't think I need to do that. I mean, really,
down here, the priority
I just use a different login, but you can go here and say insert a row, and then you add in whatever you want. I'm not doing that. I don't need to.
So now we have that new record. So for all of these, we should see the delete button. For this one, we shouldn't. So let's go back and log in as Yoshi at NetNinja.dev, and then test 1, 2, 3, 4. Submit that, okay. And now if we go to tickets, and then let's try this one right here. We know that Yoshi made this ticket.
Based on this ticket system he's got here, he doesn't have a
here, just in case
mark the ticket complete kind of thing. He's got more of a I finish it, delete it kind of thing going.
And try a different one. My computer isn't working, and we can see it. And in fact, what we're going to do is go to the console, and we're going to click on this. It's not going to delete anything yet because we've not sent that delete request. However, it should log the ID of this to the console. Yes,
Alright, so he's doing a...
free. And it also says deleting because this is the loading state and it's disabled, so it doesn't keep on
deleting ID, yay! So it did. It makes it look like it's not working because we haven't plugged that in yet.
What I'd like to do now is just quickly try this one over here that we just added, and the author is Peach. So let's click on that, and we can see Peach right here, but we don't see the button, the delete button.
Yep, everything works.
So that's cool. That's the UI.
Everything's doing what it's supposed to do. We've completed that session.
We're not actually securing data here. Anyone still can delete the data. We're just kind of.
So this is a system.
So we're only showing the button in the UI when that person.
This is a system protect, right? So you're not actually truly securing the data. All we're doing here is kind of like not allowing the user to get to a state where he can delete it. But if the user somehow figured out, or if somehow a person could get there and delete, or somehow could work your website over, access the delete functionality, I don't know what they would do. They could still delete from the database. It's kind of like, it's what do you call it? It's access control, and rather than maintenance control. I don't know what you would call it. So we're preventing them from getting to the code, or getting to the code that runs it. But what we really want to do is prevent them from being able to delete that data. And we're not doing that here. It just looks like we are. We're just kind of a cover page. And it's kind of like, if you don't want somebody to come in through the side of the house, you don't put a door there. But somebody could theoretically walk in if they had, like if you have a side door, you don't leave the door unlocked, right? If somebody has a key though, they can still go in. If you really don't want them to go in there, you put up a wall that and take the door out. there's no way they're going to get in. That's basically how it is. Short of bashing in the wall, but by then it doesn't matter. But so yeah, if you don't put a door, nobody can get in. If you put a door, we're putting in a lock on the door, but they get a key. They can just still walk in there and get in. So I know it's a bad analogy, but hopefully you get it. So that's yeah, there you go. Let's go on to the next thing. Hey, cool, I got a subscriber. Awesome, man. If somebody, I assume you must be watching, but I got an email that says you subscribed, although it's not actually, you didn't say hi, but thanks for the subscription. Appreciate it. I don't know, my stream is supposed to tell me when people subscribe or follow, but it's hit or miss. It works sometimes and other times it doesn't. So yeah, anyway, on to the next thing. Let's go ahead and get to 30. I'm gonna stop at noonish, so that should give me not for the whole day, but for lunchtime and to take a little break. I might go do a Marvel Snap thing. I don't know. Let's get back to it.
Try actually deleting records in the
So the next step is we're actually going to make this delete button delete something. So
Alright then, so we have this delete button right here now, this component, which we nest inside the details page, and we only see that if we created that particular ticket. So when we click that button at the minute, all we're doing is updating this bit of state, set is loading this true, and that means that we have a loading state to the button.
it's kind of interesting, the delete icon. It's not a garbage bin, it's an X. I don't know if I like that. It's not the greatest icon. I prefer the garbage bin for delete. See how it's a little X? That's the icon we're putting on our delete button. It's kind of lame. I don't know. If I had my druthers, I'd find a different icon for that. But in fact, truly, if I had my druthers, I don't know, I'd put a little garbage bin button on the ticket or off to the side of the ticket. And in fact, I might even go so far as to put it on the main page to make it easier. I don't know. Too easy for deletes? Maybe. Maybe put a confirmation on.
Do super base so that we can delete that particular ticket. Now what I'm going to do is create.
So he's put. I forgot this. This probably should be there. It probably would have helped. My button should have. My deleting should say. It should have been ID and a number here, but I didn't do that.
Inside our API, a delete request handler, and the reason I'm doing it this way is because again it makes it a little bit more unified and reusable, because if I want to delete a ticket from elsewhere, then I can just send a request to that API endpoint, and all of the logic then can live inside that one route handler. We could delete it directly
follower.
from the client component.
Oh, there it goes.
However,
Showing up now. I gotta change my sound. I really like that sound. Unfortunately, YouTube and Twitch doesn't like that sound. So for 15 seconds, or for that time of the vocals, it mutes me. Luckily, they don't mute the whole stream. But like when that goes, it goes, hey, you have this copyrighted thing, and we silenced it. So there's like, if you go back and watch it later, it'll be this quiet part in the middle of my stream. It's all right, you can't hear nothing anyway, it's too loud.
Need it to know the particular ID that we want to do.
I'm just afraid one of these days they're going to go, okay, that's a strike. You do that too much. I only get like one or two a stream, so.
Then I'm going to go into routes. Now, we had before a GET request just to test this out to get a single.
All right, so he's doing an API. So this delete is going to happen inside of the ID portion of my ADI, which is our API. And we're going to fix this item now to actually delete based on our functionality.
Ticket, but I'm going to delete that right now because we don't need it. And we don't need this thing anymore, force dynamic, because remember,
so he's
that was
dumping all of it.
GET requests anyway, so we can get rid of that. I'm going to keep the next response though. But now what I'm going to do is export a new function. So export async function, and this one is called delete because we're handling a delete request. Now the first argument, the request object, we don't actually need, but the second one we do. Remember, which is an object which has the params on it, and the params contains the ID because that's what's in square brackets here. So we're going to use that to know which particular ticket we want to delete. So inside here, I'm going to grab the ID by setting it equal to params.id, and then after that, I'm going to get my supabase instance by saying const supabase is equal to create route handler client.
Did it to me again.
Supabase.
Stop it.
So we have that right here, and we invoke that.
Because I missed the button.
Because we're on the server here. So
That happens to me. I just type the wrong button and everything goes downhill.
Cookies. And that comes
Now I am lost.
next forward.
I got it. Now that I've messed up all my typing, I have now got things all messed up. Supabase equals create client, and this one is going to be a server object, and then he is doing the cookies thing. I am not doing it that way. I don't need to. And then he also has up here, which he does this a lot, where he kind of does one thing and then he goes back and changes how he does it.
/ headers.
And if I would type correctly half the time, I would not have to be doing this because too many weird symbols, you know. If it was just letters and numbers and whatever the heck, I'd probably be fine. But it's not. We're doing these squiggly symbols and square brackets and other such nonsense. And he's doing some other stuff I don't think I need. So let's see if I can prove that correct.
Alright, so we have the Superbase instance, and now we can use that to delete a ticket. So I will say const, and then we get something back from this, which is going to be an error if there is one. So let's grab that, and we set that equal to await Superbase, and then we say from, and whatever table we want to delete from, which is the tickets table, and then we're going to delete a particular record, and then we want to delete it where a particular condition is true, or where a particular condition matches, if you like. So we've seen how to do that before. We use the equals or EQ method, and we say we want to delete it where the ID property on the ticket is equal.
See if I can type that one correctly.
Right in the ID of the ticket. So that should work, and then what we'll do is return right here a next response, and then .json, and we pass through an object, and we will pass through the error if there is one. Now this is going to be null if there is no error, but if we have an error, then it will be that error, and we can handle that then on the front end if we wanted to. So let's go back to the front end, this handle click function, and let's try making a request now to this API endpoint right here. Alright, so let's get rid of this console log. We don't need that anymore, but we do need set is loading to be true. So
handle click, set is loading, got to be set true. We're getting rid of the console.log. We don't need that anymore. Which is what he just said, if you were paying any attention. I'm just repeating it.
Okay, so we'll say const response is equal to await, and then we're going to use the fetch API, and we pass in the endpoint, which is localhost port 3000, then / API to go into the API folder, then / tickets, then / whatever the ID is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste that endpoint in right here. We're using the template string for the ID, and the ID comes.
All right, so he's basically doing the fetch to this guy. And I have that written down on somebody here. Somebody somewhere has this fetch in place. And I'm going to see if I can find it. Somewhere under the rainbow. Alright, forget it. I can't find it. Let's just type 3000 here. Blah, blah, blah. Here it is. That's the one I want. Is that the one I want? Nope, that's not the one I want. Is that the one I want? Nope. Okay, that's the one I want. I should probably copy that somewhere. Put it in a hotkey. Well, I don't know. How often am I going to have to do that? Maybe not. Maybe I don't do that. Alright, so we are in delete button.jsx. And then we're doing res. We're putting it in the fetch. API tickets. And then we have to do it with the code in place. So we got to put the little hyphenation things to allow us to embed some custom stuff. So doing this, or the parameter. Which is kind of interesting. It's interesting that a language has implemented those hyphens. You don't see hyphens very often unless you're doing a foreign language. But now I'm seeing that like React uses those. You rarely see those in like C# or Visual Basic. It's just, it doesn't have a need. But it's curious though. I mean, some languages will differentiate the functionality of single quote and double quote. Here you can use double quote. In most places you use single quote. But like, for example, if I were to put in a single quote, I had double quote or single quote on use client. But you can see now when I do the formatting, it changed it to double quote. So all of my strings right now are double quote, with the exception of the one that's got this built-in syntax, which uses the hyphen. So single and double quote are mostly, from what I can tell, interchangeable. I don't know why the formatting prefers double quote, or why somebody would use single quote over the other. Just, is it easier to type? Maybe because you don't have to hit shift. But some languages have actually differentiated their functionality, because a single quote or a double quote are not interchangeable. Well, one will work for something and one will work for something else. And I kind of think that's almost what would be normal here. It's like you use a single quote to do this and double quote for everything else. First of all, you would quickly learn that you can't use single quotes everywhere else. But if you know what you're trying to do, it would be this. I just think hyphens is weird because, for one, it's a very rarely used key. And I guess if you're doing React, it's not that rare anymore. But all right, so where are we?
From the proc that we pass into this delete button component. Remember, we do that from the details page right here because we have access to the ticket. All right, so then we can pass in a second argument, which is an object, and in here we can specify the method, which is a delete method. And that's all we need to do for that. We don't need to pass anybody because the ID is extracted as a route parameter right here, params, and then params.id. So we make that fetch delete request, and then we can say const JSON is equal to await response.json to grab whatever. Oops, that's totally wrong, isn't it? Const JSON is equal to await request, or response rather, .json, like so. Okay, so now we have that response data, which is this thing right here. Remember, that's going to be null if there's no error, but we will have an error if there is one. So we can check for that. We can say if JSON.
Doing error testing now.
Then all we'll do is we'll console log this error.
Hey, Femboy, how you doing, man?
And we're also going to set is loading to be false. Now this console log is going to be inside the browser because this is a client
JSON
component.
error,
So
console log error.
However, let's say if not JSON.error, so if we don't have...
I get behind on the typo here. Typing console log. Because I always start messing up with these squigglies. So we got this. It's if JSON. Okay, so the error. I had that all wrong. All right, JSON error. Then we have the parenthesis, and then we have the squigglies. Now we can go console.log error, and then we're going to go here and say set is loading false. And then he's going to go down here and do another one, which is just if. I like else. I don't know why he doesn't do else. It's kind of weird. I know else is a thing. I saw someone else using else. I don't know why he does it this way. Kind of curious. And it's going all right, man. I'm making progress. I should be done pretty soon. If not today, I could probably be done this afternoon after my lunch break. It was only 43, and I'm at 37 or something like that. So hopefully I can get this done and start a new class. I don't know what I'll do next. Maybe Angular. Angular would be interesting. No, I actually also want to start working on some reverse engineering on my website. I want to start doing that. That'd be kind of fun. This is where it'll really slow me down because I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I've got some stuff, but that'll give me a chance to put my newly learned skills to the task and start actually making them do something. I'm not too sure how I want to use Superbase, though. I like the premise or thought of Superbase, but I'm not sure I want to put all my code onto Superbase or all my data onto Superbase. Seems weird. I mean, for a business, for an actual business, I feel like my data should be somewhere else, like SQL Server. But I don't know, maybe you can't do SQL Server. I don't know what you can do. I don't know how. I'm sure, I mean, I know this stuff can connect to SQL Server. I just don't know how I would do it. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things I'm going to be learning. Woohoo! JSON error. Let's see, we got is loading false. He's on to the next thing. JSON not error.
Have an error. Then what do we want to do? Well, what I'd like to do is refresh the router, the front end router, just to kind of get that fetched data again for the tickets, and then we'll send them to the tickets page. So we'll say we need the router up here. Let's import that. So we'll say const router is equal to use router, and it's from net/navigation. Make sure that imports, and then down here we can say router refresh first to make sure we get fresh data, and then router push, and we're going to push to the tickets.
See, this is what happens when I'm trying to move around and he's typing and I'm trying to keep up, and I put my cursor on the wrong place and then type all kinds of nonsense. Router.refresh. Okay, so I obviously did something wrong. Okay. Let's see here.
Page. So that's if we don't have an error. Alright? So that's pretty much it.
Const router, use router. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. I always forget to put the parens on. Alright. ChatGPT, you know, I haven't used ChatGPT. I've played with it just to kind of see what it could do, how smart is it, kind of thing. So I have had it try to write some code, but it's interesting. So I might try it out. So I won't say I'm going to use it. I'm going to say I'm going to try it, just because I'm curious what it will do. Because I'm going to reverse engineer an existing website. And ChatGPT knows nothing about my website. So I would have to, like, say, write this web page, giving it the link. I don't know. Maybe ChatGPT can do it. I'm curious. It'd be interesting to see, you know, just kind of play with it, make it a streaming learning lesson. Yeah, and that's another thing. You have a lot of stuff. Well, there's a lot of tools, like what do you call it? Git has a Copilot which does stuff, which works with that. There are a multiple of tools that have a AI component that use either ChatGPT or something else as their AI backend. So yeah, there are tools that already do that. But I don't know how smart they are, how well they're written. They're all pretty new. And a lot of times they give you pretty generic feedback. So like if you don't know how to do something, like if I wanted to say, it could probably tell me something like if I said, write me a delete function for a Supabase database, you know, something like that. Pretty generic. It's a function that's about yay long. It could probably write that for me. So I don't know I probably wouldn't be able to get it to reverse engineer a site page or something like that. But if I have individual components that I want to create, it might be able to help with some of those if I'm struggling with them. It has to be something that is public domain, so it's easier to, it'll be easier to write. And like if you ask for React, it might give you React, older versions of React. It might not work with the latest versions. So you have to have those other tools functioning. So that's kind of why I'm hesitant, just because I feel like there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts to getting it to work with what you're trying to do. And it's just not fully there yet, because you'd have to give it all the parameters. Theoretically, you'd have to tell it, use this language in this version, because there's so many versions now, right? You want your code to be the latest version, and it has to have all that in its programming interface. So you would typically want that language. So like a React.js ChatGPT coding assistant. So like I said, GitHub has one, but I don't know how good it is. Like all of them are experimental and they're iffy, but they do help. They're great for learning small tidbits, learning basic structures. I don't know how much they actually write code for you though. I mean, you know, large amounts of code. But it might be interesting to play with it.
Friends, hopefully that's all going to work now. Now when we click on the button, we fire this function, we set is loading to be true, we send...
So in theory, it's going to work now. Let's go find out. Let's find out. Let's go on my blah, blah, blah. And in theory, I hit delete now. For me, first time run, almost always a bug. I have to go figure out what I did wrong. See, there's a bug. All right, so here's my issue here. Superbase, create client, invalid assignment target, route.js. Let's go back down here. You know what? Did I hit save on everything? I may not have hit save on everything. Let's try save all. No, nope, still definitely got a problem. Okay, all right, so we have where issue is here on route.js. We're here, constant ID, param ID. Obviously, this is probably not going to work with that. So we got, all right, let's go see what I did wrong. We're on 30 something or other. What did I say, 36? 36? And then we're going to go here, and we're going to go look at my API tickets and ID, which is the route. It's not much to it. Route.json. We have create client, which I did, create client. And then we have await superbase.from tickets.delete EQ ID equals ID. And then it's return next response.json thingamabobber. So what's blowing up? So it doesn't like my ID. Why? ID.id params. What am I missing? I do have next response. I do have create client. Maybe I do need cookies. I don't know if I need that though. See, because this is create route handler client. Because it's different. Like everything this guy does is different from what I'm actually doing right now. Because all these calls are using different stuff. So I have to figure out what mine is. Maybe this is okay. Maybe. I still think that's an 8. I got to remember where I did the exact same thing. Because I've done basically what he's doing here. Create route handler client. Which is, see, that's helpers. That's not my thing. That's totally different. Helpers is not what I'm doing. So I need to get my version of it. And I got to figure out what it is that's like what he's doing. What is he using it for? So he's just, so it's whatever, it's basically whatever I used to call it before. And I thought it was just create client. Let's see here. Browse ID. So if I go to my actions, go to delete button or even page button, we have create client, and then we have const await superbase.from. So we got super from. You know what? I'm going to do the Google thing. I'm obviously doing something different, and I can't use his helpers. So it's going to have to be, let's see. Let's see, Superbase, React, delete, example. Delete data. Superbase JavaScript client. Sure, let's do that. Give it a chance to load. Call Postgres, delete data, constant, await Superbase from, okay, well that's line, that's great, but that's not, that's exactly what I have. That's so it's not going to help me if it's not exactly, I got const error equals await Superbase dot from tables tickets delete, and then I have the EQ ID equals ID. ID is coming from params.id. What is this saying is the problem? It doesn't like my ID object. Why? And I'm pretty sure it's lowercase in my database, so it's not, yeah, it's lowercase, so I'm not a case, it's not a case problem again. What am I doing wrong here? So I got Superbase, const ID equals params ID. What is it complaining about? Syntax error. It's syntax. Am I missing something here? I feel like maybe I'm missing some parentheses or something. Const await Superbase tickets. So if I go tickets dot delete dot EQ, why don't you like me? Create client. I'm not even sure what this is. Create router client is doing. Perform a delete in a table. Delete should always be combined with filters. And if you delete, the filters have RLS only visible. Call a Postgres function. Using filters. Well, EQ name, yeah, whatever. Sorry, I already did that. This is not even saying. This is just the line that does the delete. So really, I'm pretty sure my imports are fine. But what if it says I got a typo? Invalid assignment target. The left-hand side of an assignment expression must be a variable or property. Well, I know that's not true because I went over here and I have the exact same thing on my page here. Because it's, we'll go here. So we got EQ, ID, param ID. I mean, the only thing is I'm using single quote versus double quote, which usually is just fixed by the fact that I mean, I know it's not that. It's not double single quote because that's usually my formatting will fix that. So the question is, what am I missing here? We have next server. What am I missing? Await Superbase, create client. I'm doing the create client, same client, and then it's just await Superbase from tickets. Console.log, await Superbase from. No, because the delete doesn't have a data and an error. Just got error. Error object from, unless I'm, nope. Delete, nope. EQ, yeah, everything's a match. Why is it not liking what I'm doing? Import trace for requested modules. All I can figure is maybe ID's not producing any data. Oh. Ah. God. Ah. Sometimes I wonder what my vision is doing. You know, I wonder if I'm losing my brain. You know, logically, it makes more sense that it would be an equal sign, not a comma. But even the examples will both show commas, and I'm staring at it going, this is the same. What's the problem? This is the same. It's not the same, Ken, because it didn't ask you to be equals. Just put the two values in. Just It's the second time today I want to slap myself. Okay. Okay, so that went away. I don't know what this is. Next router was not mounted. Delete button. Delete button.jsx. I don't know what that means. Next router is not mounted. Router equals use router. Use router is imported right there. But let's go ahead and go back to tickets. Give this a chance to fight our function from the start. And then I will. Okay, so we're still having problems here. So use router is not mounted. Well, I have it imported, and I do have it there. Did I do something different here? Again, following this guy's code is tricky because it's not, it's a little different, but he changed it to delete icon. Why are you changing your code on me, man? Use router. Now I got the parens. My brain ain't faulty there. Is loading constant is state view state false. Okay. Got brackets. Checking it in detail that I'm not off track here. Handle click async. We're all good there. But something about the router is not mounted. I only use it right here, so it's router.push. Why does it mean it's not mounted? What does it mean by that? Use routers, next navigation. Do I have the wrong one? Ah, that's the problem. Next, it's navigation. There's two of them in here, and I don't know why they differ, to be honest, but they do. Navigation. That's the problem. Yeah, there we go. Let's try this now. Well, we got an error, but at least we're moving forward. Failed to execute JSON on response. Required, but only one present. Okay. Delete button.jsx is once again off. We have JSON. Wait, it says delete button.jsx. Method delete JSON And await response.json. Did I forget something? Did I miss a thing? Oh. Await. Res. Let's try that. Let's try that again, folks. We're getting there, slowly but surely. Slowly but surely, we're getting closer and closer, inching our way to the finish line. It did delete it already. It says, yeah, we'll take it. It went ahead and deleted it, but my JSON thing didn't display correctly. So it did work, but it, I want to do it. I'll delete this one too. Okay, so that didn't work. I mean, it might have worked, but it took me back here. Let's see if it actually deleted it. Yeah, it deleted them both, but it did not load correctly here. Now, I could probably make it load correctly by doing something, but I'm curious why it didn't. Some kind of refresh didn't happen here. It did not remove it.
A delete request to this API endpoint right here, where we grab the ID of the ticket we want to delete, we create our Superbase instance, and we use that to delete that particular record from the table. If there's an error, we get it back and we send it back to the JSON. Over here, we get that JSON response, and if there's an error, then we'll log it to the console and we set its loading to be false again. If there's not an error, then we just refresh the router and send them back to the tickets page so that hopefully then they can see that.
So in theory, this router.refresh should have made this clean up. So I would not have the item that deleted. Obviously, as you can see, that is not what happened. It did return me to the tickets page correctly, but the refresh on the router did not occur. Although it didn't complain about the router existing now. But
an updated list with the deleted ticket gone. So let's give this a whirl. Alright then, so I'm going to go to this ticket right here, and I'm going to try to delete it. Delete the ticket, remember, my first ticket. Delete that. Hopefully this is going to work, and then we'll get redirected back to the tickets page. And yeah, we do, and that ticket is gone.
Okay, so his refresh worked, mine did not. So something I did that's different from him is this. I am getting rerouted, so we are going in here, but router.refresh did not fire. So we are all but done with 36. I'm going to take a quick break, try to finish these off here, but I want to figure one more thing out before I take said break. And let's see here. Router.refresh, refresh, not working. Now, I'm actually next 14, but that's right. Let's see. I was having a similar issue in my case. I did router.refresh, first followed by router.push to navigate back to the table from the update page. However, the correct implementation would be router.push first, then router.refresh. Oh, interesting. Does that work? Is he right? Huh. So it's saying you should reroute first and then refresh. For whatever reason, maybe it's only refreshing locally, but that's not something, well, it's not something I would have guessed. So, and it's also not what he wrote. He has you refresh first and then push. So, that's interesting. So now if I go here, it'll probably refresh just fine. But what I'm going to have to do is add a new ticket. I'll have to go create so I can test my deletion again. Create. We're going to go a new delete test ticket. 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 Body. This is for deleting by KR. It's a low priority ticket. Doesn't carry a lot of weight. Now we're here. If I go click on one of these, they will not have a delete button. But this guy should, and he does, and we'll delete, and voila, we're fixed. So there we go. Ticket has to go first. You have to go to this page before you refresh it, apparently. So, such is the way. Okay, guys, I think that's it. We've done 36. My goal is to get to 40. There's only 43. I'm going to do 37, 38, 39. And after, I take a break and do lunch and maybe some other quick little breaky stuff. Maybe I'll do a Marvel Snap stream for clearing my missions today. But beyond that, I'm going to call good. See you in a bit.